All right, so get this. Germany,
Okay.
the economic powerhouse of Europe, you know,
Mhm.
Audi's efficiency, all that,
Hmm.
is projected to be the only G7 nation
Wow.
shrinking economically this year.
Really?
Yeah. So we are diving deep into this unexpected slump today,
Okay.
sifting through reports and even dissecting this like
Mm.
dense academic video essay
Oh, wow.
to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
You might be thinking, okay, but what does Germany's like downturn have to do with me?
Right.
Well, hold on tight because a wobbly Germany sends tremors through the entire global system.
It's a real head scratcher because on the surface,
Yeah.
Germany seemed to have all the right ingredients for economic success.
Right.
They're the world's third largest exporter,
Wow.
meaning their prosperity is tied to global demand for their goods.
Okay, so what's the problem then?
Yeah.
Are people suddenly not buying German cars and machinery?
That's part of it. Global demand is indeed softening, particularly from China, which has been a massive market for German products.
Yeah.
Think about those high-end German cars.
Hmm.
China's slowdown in car purchases
Right.
hits German automakers right where it hurts.
But it's not just that China is buying less, right?
Yeah.
I remember reading something about them becoming like a competitor too.
Exactly.
Oh,
China isn't content with just being a consumer anymore.
right.
They're rapidly developing their own industrial capacity,
Okay.
producing goods that directly compete with German exports.
Gotcha. So it's a double whammy for Germany.
Yeah.
Reduced demand and a new rival on the scene.
Uh-huh.
Ouch, that's gotta sting.
It does.
And then on top of all this, they have the energy crisis to deal with.
Right. For years, Germany enjoyed this sweet deal
Yeah.
with cheap energy,
Uh-huh.
particularly natural gas, piped in from Russia.
Okay.
It fueled their industries and kept their economy humming.
Right.
But the war in Ukraine threw a major wrench into that arrangement.
So now they're scrambling for other energy sources,
Yes.
which I'm guessing aren't as cheap,
Right.
convenient.
You got it.
Right.
They're having to buy liquefied natural gas from other countries,
Mm-hmm.
which is more expensive
Yeah.
and logistically challenging.
Right.
And this price hike is hitting those energy-intensive industries like a ton of bricks.
Really?
There's a story we came across
Okay.
about a 200-year-old ceramics manufacturer,
Wow.
Derwetz,
Okay.
that had to build a whole new plant in Canada
Wow.
because gas costs in Germany were just too high to bear.
Wow. Shifting an entire factory overseas, that's
no.
a pretty drastic move. It really shows how deeply this energy crisis is impacting
Yeah.
German businesses.
Okay.
So we've got the export troubles and the energy squeeze.
Right.
But there's more to this story, isn't there?
Yes.
What about those deeper structural issues I keep hearing about?
You're on the right track.
Okay.
Germany's middle stand, their unique ecosystem
Okay.
of mid-sized companies, is facing some serious headwinds. These aren't your typical corporations.
Mm.
They're often family-owned, highly specialized manufacturers
Oh, okay.
with a long tradition of craftsmanship and innovation.
Gotcha. So think of them as the hidden champions
Yes.
of the German economy.
Exactly.
But now they're being bogged down by bureaucracy, outdated infrastructure. I even read that fax machines
Yeah,
are still incredibly common over there.
it's true.
Really?
And those fax machines aren't just a quirky anecdote.
Right.
They actually symbolize a deeper resistance to digitalization.
Oh, okay.
The middle stand, built on a culture of precision engineering and established processes,
Mm-hmm.
is finding it difficult to adapt to the demands
Yeah.
of the digital age, where speed and flexibility are key.
And then there's the whole issue of an aging workforce.
Yes.
And difficulty attracting foreign talent.
Right.
It sounds like Germany's economic engine is sputtering, struggling to keep up in the 21st century.
It does raise the question, is the famed German model broken?
Nope.
This model, once praised for its stability and efficiency,
Mm-hmm.
is showing signs of strain in today's globalized
Yeah.
and rapidly evolving world.
Okay, that's a big question. So are we witnessing the end of an era?
Well, it might be too early to sound the alarm bells just yet.
Okay.
It's worth remembering that Germany has been through
Uh-huh.
tough times before, after reunification.
Okay.
They experienced a similar period of economic stagnation.
But then they bounced back with those major reforms in the early 2000s, right?
Exactly.
Could they pull off a similar comeback this time around?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And is what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll unpack the proposed solutions,
Yeah.
analyze their potential,
Mm-hmm.
and consider whether the German model can be rebooted for a new era.
Sounds like we've got a lot more ground to cover.
We do.
We'll be right back after a quick break to continue our deep dive into Germany's economic crossroads. Welcome back. Before the break, we left off with that big question looming. Can the German model be fixed, or are we witnessing its demise?
It's a question that has economists and policymakers buzzing to answer it.
Yeah.
We need to understand what made the German model so successful in the first place,
Right.
and why those very strengths might now be turning into weaknesses.
Okay, so walk me through this German model.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce that made their economy so robust for so long?
For decades, the German model was built on a foundation of fiscal discipline,
Okay.
a highly skilled workforce, and a close partnership between businesses,
Right.
banks, and labor unions. This collaborative approach, often referred to as the social market economy,
Mhm.
prioritized long-term stability over short-term gains.
So it's not just about efficiency and productivity, it's
Right.
also about social responsibility and a sense of shared purpose.
Exactly.
But how does that translate into concrete policies?
One key element was Germany's focus on vocational training, creating a pipeline of highly skilled workers who were perfectly matched to the needs of their industries.
They're very specialized.
Yes. Another was their emphasis on export-oriented manufacturing,
Okay.
leveraging their engineering prowess to produce high-quality goods
Yeah.
that were in demand worldwide.
It sounds like a well-oiled machine, but as we discussed earlier,
Yeah,
that machine seems to be sputtering.
it does.
So what went wrong? Did the world simply change too fast for the German model to keep up?
In many ways, yes. The rise of globalization,
Mm-hmm.
digitalization, and new economic powers like China has fundamentally reshaped the playing field.
Right.
The very things that once made Germany strong,
Okay.
their focus on traditional industries,
Yeah.
their long-term, their aversion to risk,
Right.
are now seen as obstacles in a world that demands speed, agility, and constant innovation.
So it's like they're stuck in a time warp,
A little bit, yeah.
clinging to a model that no longer fits the current reality.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not forget, Germany is not alone in this. Many developed economies are grappling with similar challenges.
Absolutely. What makes Germany's situation particularly interesting is that their decline is happening
Yeah.
against a backdrop of overall global growth.
Right.
It's not that the pie is getting smaller. It's that Germany's slice of the pie is shrinking.
Interesting. So the question becomes, can Germany reinvent itself?
That's the question.
Can they adapt the German model for the 21st century
Yeah.
without losing the core values that made them successful in the first place?
That's the challenge. And it's one that will require a multifaceted approach we've already touched on.
Right.
Some key areas for reform, like embracing digitalization, streamlining bureaucracy, and attracting foreign talent.
Yeah.
But let's delve deeper into each of these.
Okay, let's start with the digital elephant in the room.
Okay.
How can Germany bridge this digital gap?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the Mittelstand, there's companies that seem so resistant to change.
It's not about forcing these companies to abandon their traditions. It's about showing them how digital tools can actually enhance their existing strengths.
Okay.
For example, imagine a small family-owned machine shop
Mm-hmm.
that's been using the same techniques for generations by incorporating 3D printing and automation.
Okay.
They could increase their efficiency, customize their products, and reach new markets.
So it's about making digitalization work for them, not against them.
Exactly.
But what about the bureaucracy? How do you untangle decades of red tape
Right.
and create a more agile and business-friendly environment?
This is where strong political leadership is essential. Minister Habeck
Okay.
has proposed a series of reforms aimed at cutting through the bureaucratic jungle.
Right.
One key initiative is to simplify regulations for starting a business, reducing the paperwork,
Yeah.
and speeding up approval processes. Another is to invest in digital infrastructure,
Yeah.
ensuring that even small businesses in rural areas have access to high-speed internet
Mm-hmm.
and the latest technologies.
It sounds promising, but I can't help but think of all the bureaucratic hurdles
Yeah.
and political roadblocks they'll face.
You're right, change won't happen overnight.
Right.
But there's a growing recognition within Germany that they need to act decisively if they want to remain
Yeah.
a leading economic power.
And what about the talent shortage? How can they attract the skilled workers they need?
Right.
Especially when they're competing with countries like the US and Canada
Yeah.
that have more relaxed immigration policies.
Germany needs to make itself a more attractive destination for global talent.
Okay.
This means streamlining their visa processes, offering language support,
Huh.
and creating a more welcoming and inclusive environment.
Right.
For foreign workers, it also means investing in their universities and research institutions
Okay.
to nurture homegrown talent in fields like artificial intelligence software development and renewable energy.
So it's a multi-pronged approach. Embrace the digital revolution, cut through the bureaucratic red tape,
Yeah,
and roll out the welcome mat for global talent.
exactly.
But even if Germany manages to pull all this off, are there any guarantees that it will be enough to revitalize their economy?
There are no guarantees in economics,
Hmm.
but taking decisive action gives them a fighting chance.
Okay.
Germany has a lot going for it, a highly educated workforce,
Right.
a strong industrial base, and a culture of innovation if they can leverage these strengths. While adapting to the demands of the 21st century, they have the potential to not only recover, but to thrive.
It sounds like Germany is at a pivotal moment. The choices they make in the coming years
Yes.
will determine not only their own economic fate, but also the future of Europe and the global economy. But before we jump into those potential scenarios,
Okay.
let's shift gears for a moment and talk about what all this means for you, the listener.
Okay.
Why should you care about the fate of the German model?
That's a great question. You might think that what happens in Germany stays in Germany,
Right.
but that couldn't be further from the truth.
Okay.
In today's interconnected world, economic shocks can reverberate across borders, impacting everything from stock markets to supply chains to consumer prices.
So what you're saying is that even if we don't live in Germany,
Yeah,
we're all stakeholders in their success or failure.
exactly. And that's why it's so important to understand the forces at play,
Right.
the challenges they face, and the potential solutions.
It's a reminder that we're all part of a global economic ecosystem.
Yes.
And that the decisions made by one country
Uh-huh.
can have ripple effects felt around the world.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave you with this thought. What would a reimagined German model look like?
Okay.
Could it serve as a blueprint for other developed economies?
Right.
Grappling with similar challenges, what lessons can we learn from their successes and failures?
These are questions worth pondering as we move into the final part of our deep dive,
Yes.
where we'll explore the possible scenarios for Germany's future and what it all means for the global economy. Stay tuned. We're back for the final leg of our deep dive into Germany's economic crossroads. Okay. We've explored the factors driving their slump,
Yeah.
dissected the German model,
Right.
and pondered whether it can be rebooted for a new era.
Uh-huh.
But now let's get to the heart of the matter.
Okay.
What's next for Germany?
It's a bit like gazing into a crystal ball,
Right.
but by analyzing the trends, the proposed solutions,
Yeah.
and the potential obstacles, we can sketch out some possible scenarios
Okay.
for Germany's economic future.
Okay, so no guarantees.
Right.
But let's start with the optimistic outlook.
Right.
What would a successful revitalization look like for Germany?
Imagine a Germany that fully embraces the digital revolution,
Okay.
their middle stand. Those agile and innovative mid-sized companies
Right.
become powerhouses of Industry 4.0,
Okay.
leveraging artificial intelligence automation and data analytics to create cutting-edge products and services.
So instead of those fax machines we talked about earlier,
Exactly.
we'd see 3D printers humming and robots working alongside skilled craftspeople.
Precisely. And this digital transformation wouldn't be limited to manufacturing.
Oh, okay.
Imagine a Germany where startups flourish, developing innovative solutions in fields like renewable energy,
Yeah.
biotechnology, and fintech. A Germany that attracts the best and brightest minds from around the world,
Right.
drawn by its vibrant tech scene and its commitment to sustainability.
That sounds like a Germany that's not just keeping pace, but setting the pace
Yeah.
for the global economy.
Exactly.
But let's be real, this scenario hinges on a lot of things going right.
It does.
What are some of the key ingredients for this optimistic outcome?
First and foremost, decisive government action.
Okay.
Minister Habeck's proposed reforms, if implemented effectively, could be a game changer.
Right.
Cutting through the bureaucratic red tape,
Yeah.
simplifying regulations, and creating a more business-friendly environment
Okay.
would unleash the entrepreneurial spirit that's been stifled for too long.
So less paperwork, more innovation.
Precisely and equally important is a willingness on the part of German businesses, especially those in the middle stand, to embrace change. They need to invest in digital technologies, retrain their workforce, and adopt a more agile and adaptable mindset.
It's about shifting from a culture of risk aversion to a culture of innovation.
Exactly.
But even if Germany gets its own house in order,
Yeah.
they're still operating in a global landscape that's constantly shifting.
Uh-huh.
How do external factors play into this optimistic scenario?
That's a crucial point.
Mm.
Germany's success also depends on factors.
Yeah.
Beyond its control, a stable global economy, strong demand
Right.
for their exports, and a resolution to geopolitical tensions
Okay.
would all create a favorable tailwind for their recovery.
So it's a mix of internal reforms and external forces aligning in their favor.
Exactly.
It's a tall order, but it's not impossible.
It's not.
But now let's flip the script.
Yeah.
What happens if those pieces don't fall into place? What's the less rosy scenario we need to consider?
In a less optimistic scenario, Germany could find itself
Okay.
caught in a vicious cycle of decline.
Right.
The global economy could take a downturn, further depressing demand for their exports.
Right. Yeah.
China could continue to erode their competitive edge in manufacturing. And those structural reforms, if delayed or implemented half-heartedly,
Right.
could fail to deliver the desired results.
So instead of a phoenix rising from the ashes,
Yeah.
we'd see Germany's economic engine sputtering, unable to regain its former glory.
Right.
What would be the consequences of
Yeah.
such a prolonged slump?
Domestically, it could lead to a rise in unemployment,
Okay.
social unrest, and a loss of confidence in the German model.
Right.
Germany's renowned social safety net could come under strain,
Yeah.
and political instability could become a real concern.
And the ripple effects wouldn't be confined to Germany, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
A weakened Germany would have significant implications. For the entire Eurozone, the euro currency could depreciate,
Right.
making imports more expensive and potentially fueling inflation.
Yeah.
Investment could dry up, and cross-border trade could suffer.
So it's not just a German problem, it's a European problem.
Right.
And you could even argue it's a global problem,
Yes,
given Germany's role in the world economy.
precisely. A struggling story. Germany would send shock waves through global markets,
Okay.
potentially triggering a domino effect of economic instability.
It's a sobering thought. So we've explored the potential
Yeah.
for both revitalization and decline.
Right.
But in both scenarios, one thing is clear. Germany's choices matter.
They do.
They matter not just for Germany, but for the world.
Yes, and as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener,
Okay.
with a final thought to chew on beyond the economic data
Yeah.
and the policy prescriptions. This story is ultimately about adaptability.
Okay.
It's about the capacity of a nation, its businesses, and its people to reinvent themselves in the face of unprecedented challenges.
It's a story that resonates far beyond Germany's borders.
It does.
A reminder that in today's rapidly changing world, the only constant is change itself.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to continue exploring these issues,
Yes.
to challenge your assumptions, and to engage in thoughtful discussions about the future we want to create.